wonderful cast in the audience tonight, and we've got, as you all know, our favorite guest, Jeff Giel, right?
Gio.
Giel. I've been saying it wrong every
That's
single
okay.
time. It's like when you get the pickups and you think you fixed it, and not that
But you
that's ever
didn't.
happened. Yeah.
Dealing
So,
with some of that today, actually.
you know what I mean? It's. Do you find some words? I mean, not to. Oh, you guys, quirky questions, of course. Other questions as well. This is your chance to ask. Oh yeah, it rhymes with cup of Joe. This is your chance to ask Jeff the very good Lisa. I told you we got a live audience here tonight. We were just kind of gabbing about nothing in particular. I am so excited to have a relaxed call where we don't unpack like the mysteries of the universe, and just chat about the good, the bad, the wicked, and what goes on in audiobooks and how to get the great jobs. And I have a question. I have a question for a proper question for a publisher. Jeff.
Yes.
So, you know how they say that you should regularly reach out to publishers to keep contact with them, right? This just occurred to me literally off the tip of my tongue. But then when you get busy, you're supposed to be honest and not double book, because you don't want to miss your deadlines. You want a good relationship. And you're also not supposed to announce to publishers, oh, I'm busy for the next 80 years. You know what I mean? Because, as a narrator, when you feel busy, you feel busy. When you don't, you don't. Mm-hmm. And then you just sound desperate and embarrass yourself. So what do you do if you're busy? You're not like every 8 weeks. You're not going to reach out to a publisher and say, hi, can you please hire me, when you know that you're booked for the next 2 months or so because you couldn't fit it in. I know Andy says to put a buffer in, but sometimes that buffer gets used.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do then if it's in like 3 months and you haven't reached out to the publisher? Do you forget us completely? Or do you think, what do you think of us and how often you hear from us? Are you grumbling under your breath? Or you can be honest here. Nobody will see it.
I'll laugh about it because I'll blow up the whole industry here. Like, I love to hear from narrators, and there may, I've said that enough times that there may be a point in the future in which I kick my ass for saying that, but
he changes his email address and phone number, then you'll know.
But it's great, and narrators have been really respectful. Like, I'm not saying I want like 3,000 people to email me on a daily basis. That's just ridiculous. But there's folks that send me quarterly updates. There's some folks that send me monthly updates, and I like it because there are so many narrators out there, and it's hard to keep. I'm not going to pretend that I can keep track of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, or even 500 narrators. Like, I just can't. So when I get those emails, I sort of tuck them into a special place that I can then go reference when I get upcoming projects and I need to get auditions. And then once, I'll throw somebody an audition, and then I'll take them out of the special place, and somebody else will go in the special place when they check in. And that's how I sort of manage my own end of this stuff. So I think it's super important to reach out to publishers. You just have to, I don't know how many other producers in the industry would be like, yeah, just go ahead and email me.
But so what if you're busy? Do you still say just reach out anyway, even if you're booked for like 2 months or something? Just reach out and say, hi, I've been buying a lot of summer dresses and sunglasses on ASOS. How are you today? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, or should you just be reaching out when you know that there's a space? Because then what if you turn around and say, oh, what about this book? And I say, oh, no, I was just sending you a message to say, hi, I actually can't do anything for 2 months.
Something that I love is open, honest, and very direct communication. So if you send me an email, just to check in, just to say hi, and I'm like, oh, shit, yeah, I haven't thrown anything Daniela's way in a while. It's been a while since we talked. I'm going to put you in a special place, and then a project's going to come along, and I'm going to go to the special place and see who's there and who fits this project. And then, let's say, okay, this one is great for Daniela. I'm going to, boom, you're going to get an audition. If you write back and tell me you're booked up for the next 2 months, here's the cool thing about Scribe. We value people. We're not chasing timelines. Now, don't hold me to that. Every now and again, you get a project that's crazy rush and you got to deal with it. But more often than not, the authors we work with are more interested in finding the right narrator for their project than they are in hitting a deadline. So an example of this, I had a guy audition for a job, God, months ago, like maybe March or something. And the way the universe worked, we had a very narrow window for him to record. And he had some valid questions about how to voice certain parts of the book. So we posed those questions to the author. Author didn't answer right away. And I'm not 100% author facing in my role with Scribe. For the Scribe authors, they'll have a relationship manager, and that's who I communicate with. So, I'll ping the relationship manager and be like, hey, we got some questions. Narrator wants to know how to approach this. If it's something I can answer, I can answer. But if it's really up to the author, if it's something a little heavier, we'll get the author's direction. So pose those questions. We don't get an answer. I know the window is closing. I re-ping the relationship manager. Hey, we got a narrow window. We need answers. They say, okay, we're going to follow up. We already sent this. He didn't answer. We'll ping him. Anyway, we missed the recording window. Just completely miss it. Now the dude is booked up until August. So that was right March to August. Like that's a business is good. So we go back to the author and explain the situation. Like, hey, we lost the window. You can wait till August, or we can have some other people audition. And in this case, the author's like, let's do some other auditions. I'd like to get it out a little bit earlier than that. So we go ahead and do some other auditions.
And they don't like it. They like the first guy.
This guy this author wanted the first guy. So we are waiting until August to record that book. So that's how we get to work it with Scribe. Now, if it's the other way around and it is a tight deadline and I reach out to you and ask you to audition and you just say, hey, I can't this one, I got to pass it up because of the timeline. I have other projects. That's great. Okay. I'm not going to hold that against you. I'm happy to hear you working. I'm happy to hear you're busy.
So that's a big question though, because a lot of people do this. I know a lot of people do this. You get that. I've heard so many people tell me, oh, I don't do public. Well, to be honest, 20% of those people, I'm talking to you, not maybe you in the audience, but you out there, you know who you are. You're lying to yourself. You're not reaching out because you're busy. You're not reaching out because you're scared of reaching out to publishers. But the other 80% that do feel busy and are worried about not being able to fit that commitment, they should be reaching out anyway. And then just deal with it. If something comes back, just be honest in the moment. But still, we should keep the continuous open communication.
Yeah. Now, I want to say that specifically is my preference, and I can't speak for any other producer or publisher in the industry. We're all different. We all have different personalities, and I'll give you, somebody that I used to work with at Dion Audio who has since left the industry. There was a time when he was running casting for them, and he was not a fan of that kind of communication. Now, his memory worked a lot better than mine. He could keep track of a ridiculous number of narrators. Mine does not do that. Nope, not going to try, not going to pretend. But he did not like that. Like getting those emails was no. He wouldn't respond to them. He wouldn't acknowledge them. He'd just get rid of them.
But there's your hint right there. I mean, if you get a Jeff and he's like, oh, it's fine over here, the sun's nice, then maybe reach out and say, how are you sometimes? If you get somebody that hasn't ever answered one of your emails in 7 months, maybe keep them to quarterly updates.
I would go a step further than that and say, we all tick in different ways. So figure out, in that kind of case, if somebody's not responding to your email, maybe email isn't the best way to communicate with them. Maybe you got to find another way, maybe send a box of chocolates to the office or something. So, just try something different and see if you get a response.
Yeah. You do know that now that you've said that, you're going to be getting chocolate for the next 6 years.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. And if you do, I'm vegan. So make sure it's vegan.
Yeah, I'm vegetarian, but I conveniently don't check things like chocolate. Some things are just, to me, beyond the realm. So, okay, so communication. I've been thinking a lot. I've been having kind of a change of mindset in my work. And it's because of the Cup of Joe calls, the guests. And there's been a theme. They seem to run along themes and come, it's like reading your horoscope just at the right time, even though you know it's just at the right time for the other 80 billion people that read it as well, because that's how it's worded. But like we had Gildart Jackson on the call recently, and he's like an actor. He was in Charmed, one of my favorite sitcoms, when I was like,
Nice.
you know, and he was talking about how he's got like 400 audiobooks. And he just kind of casually mentioned it. And the same with Anne Flosnick. I was like on a call with her, and she's like, oh, you know, really nice. I'm like, how many books do you have? Oh, I can't keep track. It's like 400, but you know, at a certain point, they're getting rid of them. You never know what the number is. I'm like, wow, I want to be someone that doesn't know what the number is, you know, rather than someone that, like, if ACX or Audible messes up and takes one book down, you're like on the phone with them going, hold on, what happened to that book that I did in 2015, the 20-minute one? But long story short, Gildart said that obviously he brings talent to it, but he said that he considers himself a known entity and he meets his deadlines. And I've been really, because being from corporate world, that's something I can do, you know, my spreadsheet, my organizational skills. And I've been really focusing on that. Whereas I think, you know, when narrators start, we're terrified of missing our deadlines and we're feeling like victims of the world because, of course, something's going to happen every time. And you meet them, but you feel like you're just about to die, you know. But I think I've found a place where it's, you know, it's the deadline is the important thing. I know that I can act when I get in the booth. But all those voices and angst and everything, do you know what I mean? It's how you approach things. I think I'm almost as calm as you at this point, because that's how you've always worked, isn't it? I know you said you had like a stressful time before you left your last job, and now you're in your new job, but it's not, you've approached it with this like kind of new mentality, huh?
Oh, absolutely. It's all the environment that I'm in. It's such a supportive environment, you know, so there's a lot of flex each step of the way. Deadlines, there's no doubt deadlines are important. I have a funny story. It's funny
Oh,
now because it's after the fact.
okay. Tell us a funny story.
We cast a narrator in a project, and I think that she was new to narration. I don't think it was her first book, but I don't think she has a ton, you know, under her belt. And there's nothing wrong with that. She had the right voice for the job. There was no question about that. She had a lot of talent. I heard the audition and I was like, this one's gonna get it. And boom, the author picks that one. So she gets rolling, she's recording. She's, you know, home studio wasn't where it should be. So I like worked with her to get the sound where it needed to be. And I'm like, don't touch anything. Just go record the book now. Don't touch anything. She touched everything. She touched things every time. Every time she sat down, she touched things. So what I guess, okay, so that's not even it. We get close to the due date and it's like the day before, and she's like, oh, I'm not gonna finish in time. Here's some of the files. I need a little bit of an extension.
I'm watching the audience and they're literally all holding their hearts.
So I'm like, but I'm like, okay, you know, I'm sure you could have looked at your schedule and saw this was happening. I would have appreciated a heads up a couple of days ago when you first probably realized you were going to need an extension. But what can I do? You know, you're going to get the extension you're asking for, because it's either that or I recast the book, and that's going to take even longer. And we'd still have to pay you. So just go ahead and finish your thing. So now we get to the new extension date. And there were a few files missing. And
wait, you would still have to pay her even though she didn't deliver when she was contracted to deliver?
I mean, you got to pay for work done. You just have to do that. Maybe that's a different conversation. The rest of the industry is like, what the is he saying? Where was I? Okay, so we're at the new extension, right? The new deadline. And
Which was how
there's
much further than the old deadline? And how
it
many?
was just a few, I think it was 3 days, maybe 4
Okay,
days,
okay.
nothing crazy. We're at the new one, and she's like, okay, I uploaded the files to this place, and I go to this place and there's no files there. And I'm like, I don't see any files. What are you talking about? And she's like, oh, I don't know what's going on. So I'm literally sitting on my couch, that couch over there. I'm sitting on my couch and I'm having this email conversation with her. My wife is sitting next to me, and I'm the narrator's playing it off like there's internet trouble, like she's having trouble, like she sees the files on her end, but I can't see them on mine. She doesn't know what's happening. And I'm sitting there looking at my wife, and I'm like, the narrator is lying to me. There are no files. The files are not done. They're not ready. I don't even know if they're recorded. I don't know what's going on, but I'm playing along. Like, I'm playing the game. I'm like, okay, narrator, keep trying. Like, you can use WeTransfer, because she was using something else again. I'm like, maybe there's something wrong with that WeTransfer. One of the files comes through with the note. I'm going to send one at a time because I want to make sure that it's going through. I'm like, okay, send one at a time. One of the files comes through. The other files don't come through. She's having internet trouble. Having internet trouble. I'm like,
I feel bad for her.
I look at my wife, and I'm like, she's probably recording these things right now. Like, she is
the thing
probably
is, just be
recording these
honest,
things.
right? It'd be way less painful for all of us if you just mess up.
That's
It's
where
like-
I'm going with. The kick, it all comes together basically. I wake up in the morning and the files are magically there. The computer gnomes resolve the internet issue, and they open the gate, and the files were able to come through in the middle of the night. And boom, I have them. I send them out to post for editing. A couple days later, I get a letter from the narrator, in like a traditional letter, like she mailed me a letter through you. This is not an email. This is a 3-page letter that she typed up and signed. And it is basically what I was telling my wife as this communication was happening with the file extensions and the files not going through. It is exactly what I was saying to my wife. She had not recorded. There were other things going on. She didn't know how to do some things. Instead of asking, she was trying to figure it out on her own. But the kicker here is, I forget the book, and I'm not going to call out the book because I don't want to blow up this person's spot.
Don't.
But the book, I don't even know. I don't remember exactly what the book was about, but it had something to do with being honest in difficult situations. And it was from that book that she realized and learned that she was not handling this the right way. And
too bad she didn't prep the book and read it beforehand, then she would have learned the lesson.
Right?
Before she lied through.
She sends a check for $50. And she tells me that this is the fine that she is going to pay people when she knows that she makes a mistake and falls off. So I'm like, do not ever send me money, please. Nobody send me money. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that, like, but no, seriously, don't.
But
that's not how you
remember what I was saying before our conversation, okay? This is a really big subject, okay? And I'm not going to give specifics because I guarantee every single one of us will be going, oh, wait a minute, I've done that. But that's, I think, why this is a really big, important subject. Lying was a mess up. She screwed up, okay? But I think the big transition when we become freelancers is we need to manage our mindset. That's our job. That's no one else's job. So when I started doing Cup of Joes, obviously a really long time ago and not recently at all, and I would finish a Cup of Joe call and send Lisa Ware a message, or Anna, saying, oh my God, did I offend that person? Do you think they sounded offended? Did I say the wrong thing? Oh my God. Okay. Human emotions, we all have glitches occasionally, but it's our job to deal with it. And yeah, we talk to friends sometimes, but how many times do you do the same thing? You're wasting other people's time. Me sitting in that place of insecurity, teach yourself the lesson the first or the second time. After that, I'm wasting Lisa's time. I'm wasting Anna's time. I'm wasting my time. I could be making money as a freelancer. Time is money. And the other thing that people that are insecure do is the giving money. I'm going to go overboard. I'm going to do extra. So that makes up for any little, so because what I want, the end game is I want you to tell me it's okay. Because that's what she wants. That's what I wanted from Lisa. That's what we all want. When we feel insecure about ourselves, I think the number one job as a narrator is that we make ourselves feel okay, right? Because every minute we're wasting someone else's time and we're putting an undue, you're a busy professional. You don't have time to babysit. She needs to tell herself she's okay and never do it again, right? She's going to send $50 to everyone it's like, just don't.
I think I need you to coach me, Daniela, because what the exact thing I did when I got that, I shot her an email and I said, book a meeting with me. So she books a meeting, we hop on Zoom, and I'm like, I love my job. I'm taken care of here. Do not send me money. So what am I going to do with this check? Is there a fundraiser? Is there an organization that's close to your heart that I can send it to? And sure enough, there was something insanely close to her heart. I had no idea, didn't, how would I know? But there was something super close to her. So we made a donation to that organization in each other's names. And then I gave her some tips on, how to fix her recording situation, who she can reach out to in the industry for help. And
right. Or maybe have paid a coach and not taken an ridiculous amount of a publisher's time. She could have paid a coach. She could pay a coach now. And it was nice of you to reach out. But of all the people I've had ask me dry spells, I get a lot about dry spells, and I'm always happy to help. But I'm not helping in the same way I used to. Like, how many of those people can you afford to spend all that extra time with? I keep talking to people about public domain books. Then I tell them how to do public domain books. Then I tell them who to reach out to for public domain books. Apart from doing the damn book, right, for them, I can't do anything else. So I'm not being, and I do feel, I was saying to somebody, I hope I'm not too blunt, but how much am I helping someone? Because the one thing you have to do in this job is learn to help yourself. And so ask the question and then take it and do it. And I was thinking that I had Sean Pratt as my first coach. Every single thing Sean Pratt said, I did immediately. Like he was God, right? Because he kind of is to narrators that are starting. But I did it immediately. I don't know how well I did it. I was new. But I listened, I took the advice, and I did it. And maybe it's the way I give my advice. I yell at people, but they just sit there with that glazed look on their face and go, no, somebody has to give you the work though. You can't get work if somebody doesn't give you the work. No, but you can make your own work.
Mm-hmm.
She could have hired a coach. It was lovely of you to do that, but it's a big thing for me right now. We have to take responsibility. We have to step up now. Now we're professionals. And I'm learning that the less time I waste, with me, it was health. Oh, my throat. Oh, God, I've got so many. I'm so busy, right? But the more I freaked out about it, the worse I felt. Then I got sick, and I always met my deadlines, but I literally had like a Kathy in Wuthering Heights moment. I met my deadlines. And then it was, you'd think I'd be by the blasting cold window in my death throes. I did it. Now I'm just like, shut up, head down, do the work, don't overbook. It doesn't make me special.
Mm-hmm.
And how many times am I going to have that conversation about my shortcomings? It's a waste of time. We're like really old. None of us are spring chickens on this call, right? Do the math. So, yeah, that was as Kim, me with the vapors. So, and I said, didn't I say before the call, Jeff? Okay, now I'm not going to like go off on one. I got some quirky questions now for some light entertainment. Barbara, mwah! Barbara, have you ever asked anyone for an autograph? If yes, who and what was the scenario?
Oh, I got two funny ones. No, I have one funny one and one more straightforward one. The funny one was we were right. I grew up as a hard rock and metal guy. So the Deftones were a band that I did not exactly like at all, at all. But my friends really liked them. So any opportunity to go to a concert was an opportunity. I don't care if I don't like the band, I'd go see it anyway. So we go see the Deftones. And I hope I'm not screwing people up here, but I think Stephen Carpenter was the guitarist for the Deftones. And they played at Roseland Ballroom in New York City. So if you I don't think Roseland exists anymore. I think it's something else now. But you could walk around to the back of it, and that's where the band's loaded and unloaded. Now, I was not, like I said, I was not a fan of this band. I didn't know who these people were. I knew their music, but I couldn't like pick somebody out of a crowd.
Okay. You didn't
So
have like their posters on your bedroom wall.
no, not. I had lots of other posters, not the Deftones.
Okay.
Right? I am publicly bashing the crap out of this band. I know that's not, anyway, point being, so we're in back, and my buddy Chris, like he's way into them. And he thinks that the guy standing next to us is Stephen Carpenter, the guitarist for the Deftones, but he's not 100% sure. So Chris walks up in back of him. So it's like, I don't know how to do this on a camera. Basically, me and Chris are facing each other, and Stephen Carpenter is right, or this guy Chris thinks is Stephen Carpenter is right next to us. And Chris just starts going, Stephen Carpenter, Stephen Carpenter, Stephen Carpenter, Stephen Carpenter, Stephen Carpenter. And Stephen Carpenter's not doing anything. But Chris isn't ready to give up because he really thinks it's Stephen. So he starts getting a little bit louder. Stephen Carpenter, Stephen Carpenter.
Oh
Stephen Carpenter turns around and goes, "What the fuck do you want?" And then Chris goes, "Could I just get your autograph?" So sure enough, Stephen signed his stuff. He signed something of mine because I was there. I, of course, was not telling him that I didn't like his band or what they were doing. So that was sort of the funny one.
He could have just said, "Can I have your autograph?" and not said the name, and the guy would have signed it. And if it wasn't Stephen Carpenter, he would have known. He would have been like Mike Johnson.
Exactly.
And he would have been flattered.
Exactly. The other one that I have, Slayer, right? Like I was for sure a metal dude, and we went to see Slayer again at Roseland Ballroom. We walk around back, and Jeff Hanneman, who was no longer alive because I think he got bit by a spider in South America, and
Really?
it infected his whole body, and he died. Yeah, he's very much dead. But we walked in back, and he was there, and I like Slayer. I knew who Jeff Hanneman was. So walk up to him and say, hey Jeff, I'm Jeff. Can I get your autograph? And sure enough, pulled out a ticket stub because this is back when we all had ticket stubs. And he signed it, and he was super cool, down to earth guy. We talked for a little bit, and that was that. I've never been like super big on getting autographs. Like that's never, but if like in a situation like that, if there's somebody standing in front of me and there's something to sign, like why not? I'll go for it. But I didn't like make a habit of pursuing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I love your friend. I think it's hysterical. There's another, Lisa says, "What good prank scares have you done?" Oh, since the last Joe call. Because we've already got you on the last one. That's an unforgettable one.
Things have been a little lame. I get every now and again, I'll get my wife, but she doesn't like it. She doesn't like to be scared. But she makes, right, she can probably hear me because she's in the other room here. But she has the cutest, like, scare face. So I'd like to scare her because it's just the cutest face. But she does not like when I scare her, so I don't make a habit of it.
Yeah, we're getting him in trouble, Lisa, with that one. Barbara had another one earlier. In your free time, do you like to hang out at Lake Travis, the Guadalupe River, 6th Street, or none of the above?
We're getting deep here, and you didn't anticipate that as a deep question, but I think I realized in the last day or two that I have not officially accepted Austin as home because there is not ocean. And I've been here, we've been here since August, and it doesn't feel like home. And I know that's going to change. I am very much committed to Scribe. We're in this for the long haul, so there's no question about that. I did get a stand-up paddleboard about a month and a half ago. I have not been out with it yet, so it's hanging out in the closet. And this Sunday, it is almost calendared that I will go out on whatever lake is close to where I am. I don't know what lake it is. And it's the one like by downtown Austin, whatever one that is. And I'm gonna go out and stand up paddleboard.
You know that's the, I was thinking that the other day, because if you'd asked me before, I'd always tell you LA is home. But then there's this like little BBC sitcom on, and girls are moved to their flat, 24 years old, living in London, and they're in my old neighborhood. And it's embarrassing because it's like just a bunch of like people running around hooking up with their roommates, and I'm in sheds of tears, bawling my eyes out, thinking, am I past it? Pulling out my clothes that I wore, when I was hanging out in Camden. And what I realized was both LA and London, it was the times. So I think it's like it becomes home when you experience something kind of like deep or big or life changes, like something happens there that's like a big deal. But if you keep the paddleboard on the wall and never actually go out of the house, no big deal. But something when things happen, it becomes home.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I would agree with that.
So you got to find some memories.
Yep.
To attach to it. Okay. Who is your favorite superhero or cartoon, comic, anime, manga character, and why? It is manga, isn't it? I'm showing my uncoolness here. Or manga.
I've never really been into anime or manga or whatever we're gonna call it, because neither one of us knows it. Favorite superheroes.
It's manga.
Manga. There we go.
Who knew? Thank you, Lisa.
But I think growing up, I was drawn to Superman, and then when I got a little older, it kind of flipped to Batman. And there was something that happened in Hollywood one night when I was younger, but I wasn't that young because I moved to LA when I was 27. No. Yeah, maybe. I don't know how old I am. Okay, so anyway.
Don't think age is irrelevant. You don't need to know.
Go out partying with some friends in Hollywood and I think it was a night that my band was playing, and we stuck around after the show, and I just kept drinking because this was before I realized that my off switch was broken. So I just kind of kept knocking them back. And at some point I left. I don't think I said goodbye to anybody. I just kind of left. I was trashed, like absolutely trashed.
I love that. I've never heard that my off switch is broken. I've never heard that my entire life.
Off switch is very broken.
I love that.
Don't remember leaving. Don't remember getting home. In the morning, my buddy calls me and he goes, "What did you do last night?" And I'm like, I don't know. I left and I woke up in bed.
That is never a good sign.
You texted me at 3:00 in the morning and said, "You think you might be Batman." And you didn't say anything else. I have no idea what I did. No idea.
I wish we'd save that one for later, because that's I don't think we can top that. Okay, let's move to my favorite type of question. From Barbara, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you? Excuse me. Jeff is Batman, Lisa says. Yep. You're never going to live that one down, Jeff.
scariest thing. Oh man.
And
Okay.
you know how
Okay.
they say, I've just got to say before this one, you know how they say when you reach out to publishers, try to think of something about them. So, it's personal. You do know that now you're going to get a whole bunch for the next 60 years messages from you narrators going, and Batman is what you and I have something in common. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Okay, sorry.
So
Scariest moment.
something scary. Okay, so this is gonna come. This is like a fun kind of scary situation. So I grew up in Port Jeff Station. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Long Island or Port Jeff Station, but Port Jeff Station was like the range of middle class families, I guess you would say. And then when you went into Port Jefferson, which is actually on the water, there's a ferry there that goes across from Port Jeff to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Not that that's relevant to the story, but in case anybody is trying, you might know
Gets
the
lost.
ferry instead of Port Jeff. So anyway, so there's Port Jeff, and that, Port Jeff is nice. It's down by the water on the North Shore. But then if you go up the hill, you go into Belterre, and Belterre is high. Rich folks live there, and they don't believe in streetlights in Belterre for whatever reason. I mean, that may have changed now. It's been a long time since I've been back there. But I had a friend that lived up there with her family, and this was like before. This might have been like 6 miles from where I grew up or something like that. This was before I had a license, so I would like bike over to her house, and we would hang out, and then I'd bike home, and we all had friends. So there was a day I was hanging out with her, and then some other friends met up later. But I had biked over there, and it was right at the age where some friends started having cars. And I was certainly not going to be the first of friends that had a car, because that was, that wasn't my family.
Right.
But
Right.
my buddies had a car. So they come over and they're hanging out. It's the end of the night. And they take off. And they call me a couple of minutes later, and they're like, dude, be careful on your way home. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What happened? And they swear to it, to this day, they swear this is not a joke. But so it's one road going down the main part of Belterre, and then you have your neighborhoods that branch off to the sides. And they're going down the main road, and they swear that some sort of white beast that they described as a cross between a bear and a werewolf, like,
Are you
jumped
sure your
out.
friends aren't pranking you?
Daniela, to this day, they swear, like they say they jammed on the brakes to avoid hitting it, and it ran across the street. So I'm thinking they're screwing with me, and I'm not
Yeah.
taking it seriously. And then it was
Barbara
time to go.
says, was it 3 a.m.?
I wasn't
Did you have a
allowed
cape on?
There was no cape. It wasn't 3 a.m., but it was probably between 11 and midnight.
Okay.
And it was time, it was my time to go. So I'm there on my bike, and my friend's house, like, it was downhill from the main road. So you don't get a lot of, you're biking up a hill essentially. So there I am. It's dark. There's no street lights. You can't see your hand in front of your face. And there is apparently some monstrous animal crawling around. And I am biking my ass off uphill, like, not, I'm maybe doing like 3 miles an hour. I'm not going fast, but I'm going. So I get to the top of the hill, and then it was mostly downhill all the way out of Belterre. So you get some speed when you're doing the downhill, but holy crap, like, I was legitimate. I thought I was going to get mauled that night. Absolutely thought I was going to get mauled. But to this day, they swear it is not a joke. They saw an animal they'd never seen before, and they almost hit it.
It was probably a possum, and they're exaggerating.
Could be.
Those
Could be.
possums can be kind of scary. Lovely. Lisa says, chupacabra? What's a
Chupacabra.
chupacabra?
It's a chupacabra. You know what a chupacabra is?
No, what is that?
I'm probably not the right one to explain it, but I'm
Is it
aware it's different.
Is it a real thing, or is it like a fable?
Nobody really knows.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's one of those. Oh, Kim says, why didn't they come back to drive you home?
Because they're those kinds of friends.
um, Rebecca says goat sucker. I don't know if that's a thing or if she's calling you a sucker and saying it's a goat. Lisa's saying Jersey Devil. Okay, so the chat's lighting up tonight. Lots to work on. That's so funny. And I did, and it's so funny. I'm the one that's like always, let's get quirky. I started the call off with, now, how do we best approach publishers? They've taken it in a whole different direction. Yeah, I do need to learn myths. I do need to learn myths. I literally don't, I tend to turn off when it comes to myths. I don't know. So tell me, what is it that you want the most in the whole world? I know you're like a live for the moment kind of guy, but like big dream wise.
There's a couple of things I would say. Like I have not, except for a few minutes on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, I've never been out of the country. I would love to get it out of the US and see Europe, see England. My wife is Greek, her whole family is Greek. So, you know,
Oh, I
plans
love
to...
your wife. The Greeks are the best people, well, next to the Italians, obviously, but the best people in the world. That's lovely. Does she have like a big Greek family?
Yeah, it's kind of big.
Where did you meet your wife? Not
We met,
obviously personal, but just in general.
no, we met on eHarmony back in 2009. We met at like the same time that I was starting to work at Dion Audio.
That's so lovely. You never told me your wife was Greek. That I bet you get good food. The Greeks know how to eat next to the Italians.
My wife is the greatest chef on the planet. Like she
Yeah.
should have been a chef. Should have. She's a graphic designer. She's a very talented artist. Very, very talented artist. But she is the greatest chef on the planet.
So are you going to go to Greece someday with your wife?
Absolutely.
That's
And then
wonderful.
the other part, we really want to own a house someday. And that's something that we're working towards.
Yeah. Do you have like dreams about what you want it to look like and
She does.
yeah, yeah. I'll tell you something funny. We finally bought, and we had all these ideas about what we wanted to buy, and then when it came time, it's been like what 7-8 years now, and we realized we're just now getting the guts to like start doing things to it because we've been kind of like deers kind of stuck in the headlights. You're like, it feels so big and so scary buying a house. It feels so scary that when you do it, you don't know what to do. You're afraid to change a light bulb wrong and you're going to catch the whole place on. Literally, I was afraid to put a nail in the wall because what if I hit a cord or catch fire? So it's a big, that's an exciting dream. That's so exciting. Are you talking rural? Are you going to do like Lisa full cabin with bears and goats and sheep? Are you gonna do city like Johnny Heller and Joanna, gazing down over Manhattan? What's your dream?
I don't see us affording city, even in Austin. Austin is getting out of control of that, so I don't see that. Suburbia probably. I would be happy I mean, a dream would be to live on the coast overlooking the Pacific like that. Yeah. Who knows if we're going to get there, I'll keep that in the air and see what happens. But, I would be equally happy living like up in the mountains away from the entire world. That wouldn't vibe with my wife though. So I'm thinking suburbia with, some culture within a reasonable distance and things like that.
Yeah, close enough to like the big city so you can still lie on social media and say you live in the big city.
That was a big thing for us when we moved to Austin because LA is really such a powerhouse. There is so much to offer. I'm like an ocean and mountains kind of person. But my wife is she likes art, she likes culture, she likes that kind of stuff in LA. So she introduced me to that world. I was not like a museum guy before I met before my wife, but she opened my eyes to that world, and we've had some really incredible experiences. So that was the thing we were looking at. And Austin, Austin is coming along. It's coming along.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I find that really difficult because I was mentioning to Jeff before the call, I identify with where I live because I grew up in Fresno. When you grow up in Fresno, you either count the days until you're 18 and you can move to LA or San Francisco, or you're happy in Fresno and you're planning on staying there the rest of your life. You're one or the other. And I was the other. I had a cousin from San Francisco who was cool, and I wasn't cool. I was Fresno Valley girl, like, oh my God, gag me with a spoon. So to me, it's really important to say, I'm in London, I'm in LA. You get to LA. Maybe it was just me. It was like, they eat better food. They're cleaner. They wake up and they've got nicer lives and they do yoga. You know what I mean? Like the fact they were in a big city was a big deal to me. That's why I think Johnny and Joanna are so cool, because they're in New York. So it's a big deal. It's your identity, isn't it? Kind of, if you're a person, where you live becomes your identity.
Yeah, I certainly think that. This is kind of funny. You mentioned food, and I literally found out yesterday that, right. So the business in the office next to Scribes is a meal delivery service that does plant-based whole foods. So it's all super clean, no junk food, no fake meat, nothing like that. Everything is whole plant-based foods.
Wow.
I had no idea they were there. Like, I no idea. But they invited us to lunch. So a bunch of us went over, and I was like, holy shit, this is so cool. So we were leaving, and I was walking out with one of my coworkers, and she's like, she's talking about how good it was and how good she feels after eating a meal like that. And she asked me about how I saw the Austin vegan scene. And Austin vegan is really geared around like junk food vegan. It's not, there's a lot of fake meats, processed things, and it's super good. I mean, vegan nam, like I will eat at vegan nam, all of the tacos. Vegan nam makes the greatest vegan tacos in the world, but it's all heavy processed stuff. Whereas in LA, like they had the heavy processed stuff, but they also had so much clean, genuinely good for you stuff. And I don't see as much of that out here in Austin.
But the other thing, now I look back at America, and I was a terrible snob. I mean, I was I wanted to be a snob because I came from Fresno. Like, all the major movies are made in LA, and when they want to make a joke about the worst place on earth to live, they say Fresno. So it's like, you grow up with that attitude. But once you move away, I would love to take a trip through America. I would love to go to diners. I would love to live for a while in a real small town. I don't know if they ever exist anymore in America, with a porch and lemonade. And I did a book in Kansas, and she described the library in Kansas, and it was so beautifully drawn that I could smell the air on the porch. Do you know what I mean? And I never saw that America. And you miss that. And I even miss Fresno. Desperately miss Fresno sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's you look at it from a different perspective, and you kind of I think maybe being a narrator, and you in your job as a publisher, do you not think you honor everyone's kind of story, because we see it all now. We read the books. Yep. So now you see the other ways of life. So it's not like, oh, I still have massive attitude about living right outside London. I cannot wait to get back, because I'm still a London girl, most of my life in London, and we can commute. Like, I'm closer to London than most people in LA are to their grocery store, right? But culturally, being in the middle of London is it must be like New York.
Yeah.
I mean, people from all over the world, there's nothing like it in the world. So you'll adjust. Pretty soon you'll be like, you know, you'll know everyone where you live and you'll be like the king. Where is it again?
Austin.
You'll be the king of Austin. Wait, wasn't that
I don't know.
Elvis? Okay, so I'm rambling now. I'm getting on a ramble. So favorite season?
I like seasons.
All of them?
I like seasons, and I think it comes from being so like I grew up on Long Island and we had seasons, and then I lived in LA, and it's just it's sunshine and blue skies for 364 and a half days a year. There's summer and then there's not summer, and that's all you get. And I like legitimately missed rain and thunderstorms and snow and all of that stuff. So it's like I see beauty in all of the seasons. They all have something different to offer. And I wouldn't even say that Austin, I mean, Austin kind of has a fake, I mean, right? Like last year, Austin froze. Like, so there's like winter that happens here, but it's
Yeah.
not like, and that was an awful, we weren't here for that. That was an awful experience.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's not like you're getting 12, 24, 36, 48 inches of snow in the winter in Austin. It's just
But
not.
you gotta laugh at them in LA. I loved LA. They tried so hard to have Christmas. The few people left stuck there that didn't go home to see their family, they tried so hard. They put their
Oh,
Christmas.
they totally do. They totally do.
It's like boiling hot. The same weather it's been all year long.
Yep.
And they dressed warmly. You'd see people with scarves, coats.
It blows my mind. The scarves, the boots. It
Yeah.
blows my. It's like
Because
this
it's
is
the
not that
movies.
cold.
It's was that Lisa that said that? No, it was Barbara that said that. I'm really hoping Johnny and Sean do the workshop in Austin this September. Oh
We
no.
are.
If Johnny and Sean and then they have Jeff, and then I'm gonna totally suffer from FOMO.
We
That would
are.
be amazing.
We are in talks. We're coordinating. We're coordinating on making that happen. It's not official yet, but it's leaning towards a go. It'll be a weekend in September, and sometime in the next few weeks, there should be some sort of official statement one way or another.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yes, I'm not secretly pissed off that my Zoom world is ending and everyone's getting back to their stupid in the real world. But I'm going to keep the calls going. I'm hoping people might still be hooked on the like speed dating and those kind of things. I hope they still will do some online things. Now everyone knows they can work from home.
Exactly. I think the Zoom is a part of us, especially these last few years. All of these companies realize that they don't need to have folks in-house 365 days a year. Even Scribe, I mean, we're only 7 or 8 years old, but Scribe, we do have people that work in far off places, but the new hires the last few years have been very geared around bringing people to Austin or hiring people that were in Austin because they wanted to build that. But as of May 1st, our CEO made the announcement that we were a remote first company now, and many of the positions for folks here that are in Austin, most of the positions now you can go anywhere. It's okay to go anywhere and work from anywhere.
I think working from home, it's what you do from home. I mean, you can have a job you hate and work from home. I have a friend that hates working from home. She finds it incredibly stressful. We're just couldn't be more opposite. I was thinking the other day that I'm not exaggerating, probably 50 times more output a day than I ever did at any, and I worked hard at jobs I was at, but there is a ton of wasted time and brain power and messing around and long lunches, and I don't take a lunch now. You know what I mean? Because it's working from home. I think we all find that we're stricter bosses on ourselves now that
Yeah.
I'm all for keeping meetings on Zoom the standard. I love you, Rebecca. And Barbara, Lisa says Barbara says we're hybrids now. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm still jealous. I miss Johnny's workshops. I want to go to his narrator's retreat and everything and hang out by the fireplace. So Um, Jeff,
Yeah.
it's that time again. And I know I put you on the spot last time, and I'm definitely going to do it this time. This is your chance to say something incredibly meaningful that's going to stick with the
Oh,
YouTube
come
audience
on.
for the rest of their life, and that I can lazily use as the caption for this video when I put it on YouTube. And Kim has reminded me, if we were to do that capsule in the school, and somebody was going to open it, I'll even make it easier for you. Even if you could put like a soft furry toy or a book, since you answered the question last time, if you wanted to leave something funny or something that would like represent this time in the world for somebody opening it in 60 years, what would you put in the capsule?
Oh my God. I don't I oh my God. I don't know. I don't know. The world, right? There's a Slayer t-shirt. I see that. Yeah, maybe. Slayers, I think they're retired though. I think they're retired.
And that would represent the old days. What would
Yeah.
represent now? Favorite book,
Oh,
album, Lisa says.
I struggle with favorites. Oh, my wife came walking by. You want to come say hi? No, she doesn't want to come say
Hello,
hi.
Jeff's wife. We've heard all about your cooking, and you're like our favorite person already.
um,
So the
the
thing,
cat.
because have you ever done Future Me? Have you ever heard of Future Me?
What is
Like,
that? No.
so there's this thing that like when you're young, you have things that are really big deal to you right now, like your favorite thing. Like, so when you're a kid, you would know immediately what you would put in that capsule. Oh, this is my favorite thing right now. And so Future Me is all about now is the important time. And someday in the future is when you look back and think about it. But I think we all get older and now becomes like later, it's nothing, it's my whole life, whatever. Future Me, you send an email to your future self. I've done it before and it's a real trip because you can send it for like 5 years in advance. You can make
Oh
it
shit.
public and you can read other people's letters that they've sent to themselves. And it's amazing archive now because it's been going on for years. Or you can make it private so only you can see it. And literally, as long as you still have that email address, you receive this email. It pops up like 5 years from now, 3 months from now, and it's a letter from an old friend. I
Oh,
don't
that's
know where
super
you are
cool.
now, but where I was then and it is a very simple concept, but it is really profound and weird because you do forget about it if you do it far enough. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you should do it.
I want to do that because this is an interesting point in life for me. I think I would have had a lot of fun with that in my days in LA when the environment and the home was not so friendly or nice
Yeah.
or peaceful, and there was all sorts of shit happening outside the gate. I think there would have been a lot there. This is an awkward time for me right now because we're in this new place and it doesn't, it's not, it really doesn't feel like home yet. And I'm sort of grasping like, I love my job. I love working for this company and I will ride this out till the end with this company. I am committed on that front.
But you wouldn't be human if you
But
didn't feel homesick.
exactly.
Homesick's
So
natural.
it's
But
this other
that's what you
part
write
of
in the letter. That's exactly the time that
that's,
you write the letter. Because when you are settled, wherever you end up and you're a whole different person, you'll forget just how this felt.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
It's
do that.
really cool. It's very cool, I gotta say. And you can look back at all your old letters. It's because it's like on your account with your email address. You can, and it's like keeping a diary, but I don't have the patience to keep a diary. So, but it's really cool. It's a very interesting exercise. They do it to kids in school now. And I just think it's fast. And what it is it's telling you that right now is the past. This is the times that you'll remember. We
Yeah,
always think now doesn't count as much. The past was the big deal. This is the big deal. You being homesick right now is and all your impressions, you've got a lot to write. All your impressions, all those things you're going to forget. like in a year or two.
That's very true. That's very true.
And then next time you move, like to Greece or Paris or something, you can look back at your letters from when you first moved to where you are now and go, oh, yeah, that's why. I love it. It's one of my favorite things on earth. You've reminded me I'm going to go do it tonight. So sticking in the time capsule.
Yeah. I think just that, Daniela. I think this idea of future me.
Okay.
Take some time to reflect on where you are in life. It's important to be in touch with yourself and understand what is going on in your world and the world around you, and you know, the world at large. Some crazy shit happening right now, as we all know, but it's good to check in with yourself, right in your seat, right where you are, and assess how you're doing and what needs to stay, what needs to shift, what needs to go.
I mean, because in the UK, I'm so getting the popcorn out at 1 a.m. to watch those. I'm sorry, but I have some distance from it, guys. So over here, it's like a really exciting event. I've got the popcorn and I'm ready to go. 1 a.m. Yes, this has been fabulous. I might edit that part out, get me in trouble. But this has been fabulous. Jeff, what a lovely call. I'm just like, you're like Johnny Heller to me. Like, can you just come back over and over again?
Anytime, Danielle. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate the questions from all the folks here. It is always a pleasure to talk with all of you. So anytime you want me to come back, just let me know.
I will definitely, and I'll send you the chat because everyone had a fabulous time. So you're a firm Cup of Joe favorite. So
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye, Jeff. Bye to Jeff's wife. Bye, everyone. Bye.